Today I'm going to show you how to make this amazing sourdough challah. To be honest, this was not an easy recipe to develop. I went through over 14 iterations to settle on a challah that had very clear, distinct braids, but also a super soft and luscious interior. I'm going to show you all the tricks how to get there. The first technique we're going to use is making a sweet Levain, so sugar is added to this pre-ferment that ripens overnight. This results in a very mild flavor profile and reduces the sourness in the final challah. The next very non-traditional technique here is I'm going to pre-cook some of the flour. This brings loads of softness and keeping quality. So this isn't so much a trick as it is just an important thing when you're mixing any enriched bread dough. You want to mix and knead the dough long enough so that it passes the window pane test. So here I'm doing the window pane test. I'm testing to see when the dough is stretched out, enough light shines through in a clear membrane. And for me, this shows that the dough is mixed and kneaded long enough to where it's going to trap all the gases during fermentation. And that's exactly what we're after here. With a strongly developed dough, it makes it easier to braid, but also a soft and fluffy interior. And that's what we're going for with this challah. So after mixing, I like to just slap and fold the dough a little bit on the counter and then tighten it up into a nice clean ball with a taut surface on the outside. This will help us determine when bulk fermentation has gone far enough by being able to clearly spot volume increase in the container. At this point, don't forget to record your final dough temperature. Here, mine is at 28 degrees Celsius or 82 Fahrenheit, so a little warmer than usual, but that's okay. It's cold in my kitchen. If there's one really important tip I give you for this recipe, it is to keep the dough warm during all stages of fermentation. So look at the dough starting at bulk and at the end. Look how soft, fluffy, and risen it is. If it's not to this level, give the dough 30 more minutes and check again. So now that we know our dough has fermented long enough in bulk fermentation, we need to divide it into pieces weighing 190 grams each. And you can clearly see the fermentation in these pieces. The dough definitely fermented long enough in bulk, and now that we divide these, we want to try to divide them into rectangle shapes as best as we can. Dividing them into rectangles makes it easier later on when we're rolling, but if you have little scrap pieces, just tack them onto the end and try to keep it as even as possible. Next, we're going to pre-shape the dough into little tubes. I like to just roll it down, cinching as I go. Afterwards, I seal the ends and the top just a little bit to make sure it's all smooth, and then roll it out to about 4 to 5 inches. Pre-shape each piece into a smooth, evenly tapered tube, and then set them all next to each other, covered by plastic. Let them rest for 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll shape them out to their final length. When rolling these out, I like to imagine I'm doing baguette dough. If you kind of think about it, these are exactly the same shape. It's a tapered cylinder from the middle to the outside, and we'll roll it in just the same way. As with baguettes, I like to keep my palms and fingertips in contact with the work surface. This helps ensure that I'm applying even pressure with both hands with each roll. It's also very important to ensure that you taper the ends of the dough. This makes it easier to braid later. Once you have 4 pieces rolled out, attach them at the top and we can start braiding. You really just have to follow the pattern here with this 4-braid challah. Kind of get into the flow of putting each piece over and under the next. And if I can offer one tip or trick here, don't tighten the strands too much. If you tighten them too much during proof, they'll kind of tear and rip against each other, and you'll end up with a challah that has stretch marks everywhere. I'm also trying not to handle the dough too much here, so I'll do a fold over, and if I have to adjust, it's okay, but I just continue with the pattern and try not to squeeze or clamp or pinch the dough too much. Don't worry too much about the end here, we're going to seal it anyways. So pick up the braided dough, turn it 90 degrees, and then we're going to use the outside of our hands to kind of seal the ends together. So roll them into a tight little point, and then once we have something that's sealed, we're going to tuck it under itself, and that's going to keep the challah in shape all the way to the end of proofing. Next, grab a half sheet pan that's been lined with parchment paper or a silicone mat, and transfer the dough to one side. Repeat with the other 4 pieces of dough, then cover the baking sheet with reusable plastic and let proof for 4.5 hours. After proofing, the dough will be very expanded and very, very soft to the touch. You can see here a poke just barely springs back. All right, let's bake them. So first we're going to cover the dough with an egg wash and sesame seeds, then bake non-convection 425 Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. Rotate the pan, turn the temp down to 375 Fahrenheit and bake for an additional 15. The internal temp should be 200 degrees Fahrenheit when it's done. This was a challenging recipe to develop, but I hope all the tips and tricks I've shown today will help you enjoy this absolutely beautiful and delicious challah. Check out the description for all the ingredients needed. Happy baking. Oh, and do not forget to make French toast with this challah.